All right. We're actually live right now on
Holy crap.
on Twitch. Wow, this is like a new world. I feel like a big boy now. What do you think?
It's a little scary, huh? It's a little scary.
It's a little scary. I think, we're going to be hit with a lot of emotes and emojis and stuff. Like, I'm not used to that on YouTube.
Yeah, I got to admit, this is kind of like the big time, right?
I guess. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen here. So, if you haven't been to a Pantheon Plus show, I can't even speak. I'm so nervous. If you haven't been to a Pantheon PlusYou show before, we are a Pantheon topic show that talks live with the community. As you can see up on the screen here, there's some ways to actually come on the show live, which is actually really fun. That's actually what makes this show work. It's the community actually gets to speak up and tell us their opinion, and we have really good debate. All opinions are welcome. It's actually really fun. So what we're doing right now is we always start about 5 minutes before our launch just to show people we're on, that we've gone live. And then again, so you guys can see the instructions on how to get on the show here and chat with us if you want. So chat it up in the box there. If you want to get on the show live, jump into the green room. And we'll be starting up here right at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, and the thing you forgot to mention is also gives us time to put our pants on.
Yeah, but you gotta be really careful because and we're not on screen, I guess. So if your camera catches something right now, you're actually okay. Yeah, you're all right. You're fine.
So this is gonna be a crazy one, dude. This is a good topic. It's a wild world to discuss this one.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited for this one. I don't want to spoil too much before the show starts, but I'm excited. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
So I did some research, Nathan. One of the things that I do on this show, because this is our 20th episode, and we missed 1 week. We did like a community week where we were with, I think you, myself, Brad, about the Brad situation, and so we weren't on that week, and we weren't on for Christmas. So we've officially had Pantheon PlusYou running for over 7 months. Which is kind of crazy if you think about it. It doesn't feel that long.
It doesn't feel that long.
Right? Yeah. But every time this pre-show starts up and I'm standing here getting set up for the show, I'm nervous every freaking time. It was like when I was in the band, I literally had butterflies till the second I stepped on the stage. And that's exactly how this feels.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I understand. I was in a lot of crappy bands, and I definitely can relate.
You know what helped me when we'd always find a bar really close to the venue.
Yeah.
And
I was always playing in the bar.
See, I only got to play a couple bar shows, if I'm going to be honest with you, and they were. But I got to play a bar show on my birthday, which that's pretty awesome.
Wait, what birthday? 21st birthday?
No, I was older.
Okay.
Well, again, guys, we'll be starting up here at 9 o'clock on the money here. Couple minutes till the real show starts. Again, welcome. So here's the other thing that's going to be hard. People might have different names here.
Ooh, true.
So now I have to learn other names and try to pronounce them correctly, which is honestly going to be pretty rough.
Yeah, that I didn't think of that. And also look at all the fancy stuff going on in chat.
Yeah, we got all kinds of stuff going on. So we'll get some welcomes out there and we start this up 1 minute until the real show goes live. Again, check out the details there, guys. If you want to join in the Discord, you can get there at www.pantheon.plus. There's a link up in the top menu. If it's not a full screen, it's a little box. You can click it. Come on in. And then just jump into the green room, or you can just chat in there and hang out. You don't have to come on the air. So we got a good topic tonight. It should be pretty fun. Flea IP is Airkai.
Okay.
So we have to remember that. See, this is going to be tough. All right, guys, we're 9 o'clock. Nathan, I'm ready to kick the show off. You ready?
Let's do it.
And how fitting the first thing we're going to see as we start this show is Mr. NathanNAPALM himself.
Oh, we're live? We're streaming right now? Cool. Awesome, man. Let me just...
A Pantheon Plus production.
What is going on? We are, Nathan, they can see you on Twitch right now.
Hello, Twitch.
Okay, and that was the show, everybody. Thank you. No, I'm just kidding. So, wow, we're on Twitch. You know, what's interesting, Loxless, thank you for following. Awesome. That pops up on the screen. I got fancy stuff going on. OBS is amazing for Twitch. So I got to tell you, I'm won over in one day of trying to set up for Twitch. Other than the nerves, I'm won over by Twitch already. We'll have a lot more fun stuff coming because I'm just figuring Twitch out. So for those that are seeing us for the first time, we've been doing this show for almost 7 months on YouTube, and we do other content videos as well. But we said it's time to step our game up. We want to be considered serious streamers. Flea IP, thank you for following. We want to be considered serious streamers. We got to get our stream game up, right? Because once Pantheon comes out, we got to be streaming it. We got to be streaming it hard. We got to be somewhere people can find us. And as much as I love YouTube, and YouTube is not going anywhere, don't you worry about that. All our on-demand stuff, all our content creation will be on YouTube. But I think that we're better set to do live stuff here. It's more accessible. You guys can get it on easier mediums. You can figure out that we're actually on a little bit better. So here we are. We're on Twitch. Sorry to anyone who's confused trying to find your way here. If you're watching this on demand, this took place on Twitch. So it'll probably take a little bit of time for everybody to figure it out. But I'm excited, Nathan. I'm super excited. Jimmy Turbo, thank you for following. We're getting some love tonight. You guys are awesome. So
Very nice.
NathanNAPALM, my co-host, mon amigo, mon ami, right? This guy, I love this guy. If you guys don't know Nathan, I don't know where you've been, because if you don't know Nathan but you know me, you're doing life wrong. Nathan, welcome to your third episode of Pantheon PlusYou.
Yes,
I believe.
Yes, third one. Yep.
Yeah, I said if we're gonna do this debut, I need Nathan. I needed him here. He needs to be my emotional support. So Nathan, what have you been working on recently, man? In the Pantheon world, before we jump into the show, tell people a little bit about. You just put a video out, seconds.
Put out a video.
So
I rushed it out.
What have you been working on, man? What's going on with NathanNAPALM right now?
So I've got a couple of puppet videos upcoming. Some more Pantheon stuff. I'm actually really trying to kick off something new, which is called the Joppa Conspiracy. I mentioned it in my last video, so don't go watch it now. Wait till after the stream. Go check it out in the morning or something. But I mentioned it in there, and I'm actually going to try to expand that and make it a normal talking subject. So, I got a lot of things in the work, mainly just having fun, man. Just whatever, streaming, whatever. Not on Twitch. It's too scary for me.
You'll be there. I will hold your hand, and I will help you. We'll get there.
All right.
So before we jump into the stream, if you don't know how to find Nathan, you can get him on YouTube, the NathanNAPALM. Check him out. Follow him on Twitter. He does all his updates there. You can find him in the Pantheon Plus Discord and annoy him. He loves that, so you can do that. So a little bit of housekeeping for Pantheon Plus. I keep saying it. We had some good breakthroughs on the new website. Like, legitimately, we had good breakthroughs. We are so close. Like, we even have a form that I can start uploading all the videos into a database. So we're really, really excited about that. I'm not going to say it's close, but it's closer than it's ever been. Is that a fair way to put it? Do I have to do
I think that works.
Yeah. Do I have to do a soon TM? Like, do we have to post? Somebody post a soon TM in there for me in the chat, just so we can be clear. That'll be right on here. We'll be good to go. So the website, I am also really excited to mention that our moderator, who didn't know he was going to be a moderator, I just promoted him because I'm figuring things out, but Pantheon Theric, as most people know him, has made a few different lore videos. He's officially joined Pantheon Plus. We're actually expanding. We're trying to find writers and streamers, and we want to be a team. I think teams are more fun than being by yourself. And let's be honest, it would be nice to go to Pantheon Plus and not have to hear me talk. You guys have enough of that every week. So let's have somebody else talk and do some cool stuff. So if you guys haven't seen, Theric just put out an awesome video about the twin gods, some lore video. The editing was awesome. I'm the guy who sits here and talks and BS's and gets people talking. That was a really nice put together video. So check that out. And then the last piece is we are going to officially announce that we will be streaming games, MMOs, ARPGs, and talking about different mechanics and what makes them great. And we're not going to focus on any negative stuff. Like, even if we play a game that people hate, we're going to talk about the positives, what makes that game great. And on top of that, like, what can Pantheon learn from these great games or these great pieces of games? And we're going to really focus on that. So 2 days a week outside of Pantheon PlusYou, we're actually going to be streaming. You guys can see the schedule and announcements in Twitter, or you'll be able to see it on Twitch. This week, I am starting with a game called Wolcen. I have never played it. So I all I did was watch the intro and start with my character. So I made sure my buttons worked. This upcoming week, keep posted on Twitter or even on Twitch. You'll see a schedule. We're gonna do Wolcen for 2 days. We're gonna talk about it. It's an ARPG. It's a early access at the moment, but it's out soon. So check it out. See what you guys think. We'll talk about what we could take away from it. What's pretty cool about it. I'm really excited to do some Reign of Darkness. I am a huge fan of Reign of Darkness, but I want to wait. There's some bugs going on right now. So I want to make sure when we show it, we can show it beautifully. So we're going to wait a little bit. Otherwise, I would have launched with that. But we're going to keep doing that. We're going to play EverQuest. We're going to play Diablo 3. We're going to play Rift. We're going to jump into Secret World. All these MMOs, I want to show you guys and talk about what things are really cool and what Pantheon can take away. We're going to play some Monster Hunter World, show the crafting system. So there's a lot of stuff we're going to do. We're going to keep it all in the realm of RPG and how it can fit into Pantheon. We do that two times a week and follow it up with a Thursday Pantheon PlusYou. So housekeeping over. Let's get to the show. Everyone's like, this is boring. Why did we come here? Nathan, we are talking about an awesome topic tonight. Yeah. We're talking about instance versus open world in MMORPGs. This is going to be pretty fiery. I will tell you, we already have an amazing green room. So if you guys aren't familiar, if you go into the green room on Discord, this is what's cool about the show. We'll actually pull you in live on the air to talk to us. You get your voice heard, your opinion. You'll be able to move the meter at the bottom. We already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We already have 7 people in the green room. So it's going to be a banging night. So Nathan, with that being said, I'm going to do something a little different. Okay. I'm going to let you go first.
Okay.
I always go first. I take over the screen. I rant and rave. I'm going to let Nathan start this show. He's going to talk about the topic on hand. He's going to set the viewer meter for this topic. And you guys can see it's at the very bottom. It's only you want instances for this type of stuff. You want some kind of mix. And when I say only instances, I'm talking like raids, dungeons, not the whole world. Mixed, or at the very top, you only want open world. So Nathan, I'm going to fire this over to you. You got the full screen, buddy. So have at it.
Okay, so I got to say, first of all, my entire channel is kind of based around the fact of open world. How much cooler the world is when it feels lived in. No matter where you go, you see other people. There's interactions. You can party. You can group. You can have good experiences. You can have bad experiences. You can build reputations. All that kind of thing, right? That comes with an open world type system. However, I also have to agree that for some situations, right, sometimes it might be okay to do an instance, and I'm probably not talking about what you think I'm talking about, because I'm not referring to raids. I think you can do raids in an open world, and if there's enough content, like all the zones and all that kind of thing. Joppa talked about it last update, actually, where he said, I like the system where you go do something, there's no room, you can't get in, it looks like a long wait, whatever, so you think, what else could I do and have fun with the group makeup I have? What else could we do? And you end up trying other things, right? Now, when you do that, I think there needs to be lockouts. There needs to be certain rules and regulations and all that kind of thing. And I think that that's what Visionary Realms is doing, is they're building a system for that to work. But would it be so bad, for example, if there was a particular raid where the party goes in, right? And we've seen this in the game. It shuts them in that room. You see the door, boop, they're inside. It waits a little while, right? And then the door opens and the party's gone, right? Like, they're actually in an instance, right? But it doesn't break immersion, right? Or anything like that. Or a story type situation, right? Where you want to show something in an instance for story reasons, and it would mess up everybody else's view, right? So where something changes in the world or something like that, and we're getting to phases now, but what I'm saying is something in the story happens to where they want to show you, and it would make no sense if people around you seen that happen, right? So you're kind of in an instance for that moment, they just see you standing there or whatever, but for you and your group, you're seeing something special, right? So I think the instancing has a place even in a game like Pantheon. However, I think the game should be almost completely open world, because that's where the awesome happens, right? So all the memories that we have, that we built in EverQuest and other games that we love and hold dear, would not have happened in the instance world. And reputation, because when you go to instance with dungeons and raids, what happens is eventually they start introducing, it's just natural, it's the natural way things go. They start saying, well, the queue's too long. Okay, well, don't worry. We'll add all servers to the queue now to slow down the queue time. Before you know it, your game is garbage. People are not behaving properly. Your reputation doesn't matter. So I think almost all the way open world, but not quite, because we need a little bit of room for some small examples.
Okay, so you want to go almost to the top.
Almost to the top.
About right there. By the way, the delay in Twitch is a lot better than YouTube. I'm gonna tell you guys, when you type, it's really close. So like we're almost live. It's just pretty awesome. Is the stream feed good? My big fear is that they don't allow you to be a maniac with the bit rate. So the stream's good. Everybody's seeing it. Okay. All right, cool. So, all right, my turn. Are you ready for this, Nathan? Is everybody ready to hear me rant and rave? Okay, here we go. Okay, so one of the big things that drew me into Pantheon was the fact that this game was going to be open world, that they weren't going to do instances, okay? And when I started following the game, I was 100% that's the only way it can be. And I'm not saying I'm not still there. I've told this story quite a bit, so I'm going to tell the very abbreviated version. But when EQ2 launched their progression locked servers, we went into, I think it was called Stormhold. Is that right, Nathan? Stormhold was I think it was like a castle over in the whatever. So we went into Stormhold and we were running as a group. It was like some of the battle, I think Def was there, and there was Haya, and we had a nice group, and we were going through this dungeon. You see people all around you trying to go through, and we hold down a little camp, and Haya's pulling mobs in while we're resting and chatting, and it was a blast. It was an absolute blast. Now at the same time, nobody was really challenging us. We weren't being pushed out. We weren't having to rush, all that kind of stuff. So the experience was phenomenal. I want that again. I like the vibe of sitting there and camping an area, because one of the things I think that I associate with open world is being able to camp. In an instance, when you kill something, it doesn't respawn. You have to do the whole instance over again. And I definitely prefer camping, polling different areas, trying to bring in different maybe camp multi-bosses if no one's around, where you can kind of camp in between and pull them to you. So I really enjoy that. So I got to thinking, okay, what's the downfall to not having instances? If I want to look at it and I want to be constructive and I want to actually, not just go one way and just be set in my ways on it, but what's the downfall to open world? And the downfall to open world is griefing. It's not 1999 anymore. There was griefing back then, but it was nowhere near what I expect we'd see today, because let's be honest, the internet is, it's the internet. So,
Refer to Reddit.
Yeah. It's changed. Times are a little different. So, I think we will see some griefing. I think that we will see what has been termed as PvP PvE, where your group is competing with another group and you may be training or racing, and it will probably create some stressful times. Now, the question is, at what level is that going to be? Is that going to be constant? Is that going to be every time you log on? Is it going to be a one-off? Is there going to be respect in the community? There's so many unanswered questions for that. And I think that the biggest thing that I think of that is the thing that hurts open world is that a lot of us don't have the time we used to. So if we have 5 hours on a Friday night and we have a big scheduled thing, the whole guild's going to get on and we're going to play, which is hard enough to get a schedule set up. Are we going to go be able to do what we were hoping to do? And that's where I really sit and say, as much as I love open world, I have these little fears. I have these fears that people are not going to enjoy it and it's going to chase people away from the game. As much as there's going to be a huge set of people that really do enjoy it and that's all they want and they love it and they love the competition, how many subs will we lose from that type of griefing, especially from people coming from these other games? Now, granted, this game's not for everybody. I understand that. But we need a community. You can't have a community without people, right? So my question is can the modern MMO player, can they adjust? Can they have that sort of letdown when they're used to having a schedule? Or is there a different way? And actually, Budrick just said that. Can we find a way around this? Is there a different way than instancing? So I'm still very much so toward the open world only. So don't mix my words here. But what about a little mix? What about having to fight your way through a dungeon like crazy to get to a small instanced part? And maybe it has a lockout. And you can really grind a difficult area. Or in kind of like Nathan was saying, specialized things. Do we, like, let's say you're on some kind of epic quest line and you need to spawn some mob and it's hard to do. Like, does that count? I mean, it's hard to say. I really don't know the answers, but let's also talk about something else that is, sometimes when we dislike something heavily, we dislike it because of other factors. So why do we dislike instancing? Well, we hate LFG, like the looking for group teleport to an instance. And I think that that's looped in with instances a little bit. I'm not saying we want that. Run, if you're going to go somewhere, you got to run there, right?
Right.
We kind of loop in, the way that the instance should work. We loop in how easy it is to get to. We loop in, sometimes people who are into instances, we're going to need more content. That's something we talked about last time. So, if I do go with my guild on a Friday night and all the camps are camped, do we have an alternative? And that becomes a big burden on VR. Do you have enough content? That's a lot of content to have to plan out. So what are server sizes going to look like? There's just so much to it. And there's a lot of problems that can be alleviated with proper instancing. So that's where I got to be honest, guys, this is probably the toughest time for me to set my meter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it. And I'm probably going to be moving it with the community quite a bit tonight. So you guys are going to be able to influence me. This will probably be the biggest show for me being influenced and moved around if we get some good points on. So I'm going to go above mixed. I'm not going to go quite as high as Nathan. I'd like to see some little bit of instancing that would make sense, but still be challenging, still be difficult to get to, and still require teamwork in the open world to get there. So just under the full open world experience. So Nathan, I'm going to jump back into our 2-shot. And so what are your thoughts? We've both kind of said it. I kind of agree with you on special things, but you're a little higher than me.
Yeah, and I think we also need to, before we start getting people in here and discussing it, I want everybody to also remember that, this has been a hot topic since the inception of the game, right? And there was a point where they split a little bit of beans, and Brad had told us that they had this new system. It has a name, and it's never been done before, and it's so that they can do open world content raids and things like that, and take care of a lot of the issues that we're scared of, right? Like all the things that worry us. So that system was designed, they gave it a name and everything. We can't really discuss it because we don't have any idea what it is, right?
I do remember that.
Keep that in your mind, all right? So I don't want anybody walking away from the conversation being like, oh my God, here we go. The community's going instanced. The game's over, right?
Yeah. And also, it's probably important to say, Nathan, as of right now, other than that, Pantheon has said there's not going to be instances. That the last, and it could change. It could totally change. But the stance right now is open world.
Yeah. But they always make a tiny little exception. They're like, well, there could be a couple of story situations, but that's not playing the game. That's just like a little cut scene that obviously you don't want everybody to see because somebody worked really hard to see it and it ruins it for everybody, right? So it's like a non-spoiler thing. But I also want to mention, guys, that another good point of this is that we have a ton of instance games out there, okay? Yeah. We have a ton. Our beloved old games are instanced now, right? We don't have an open world game anymore, right? Not the kind of MMO we like. You could say you have Ultima Online. That's not this kind of game, though, right?
Nathan, you just moved my bar up a little. Moving it up a little bit. See, I'm telling you, this thing's going to move around. I want to hear. Reddit was on fire. I think last I checked, there were 65 comments. People were going back and forth like crazy. We always do a pre-show Reddit post. And Reddit was just back and forth and back and forth. So there's a pretty crazy stuff there. So, all right, Nathan, you ready? We're going to bring in our first guest.
Let's do it.
Okay, so Zoo, you are new to the community. You just popped in here. You were waiting in chat in the green room for a while. So we're going to give you the opportunity to come on first. If you can hear me, please unmute your microphone and your headset in Discord, and I'll drag you up so you can give us your opinion and start the show. So I'm just kind of waiting for you to adjust your Discord. Cool. Zoo's ready to go. I'm bringing him up, Nathan.
All right.
Zoo, welcome to Pantheon PlusYou. What is up?
Hey.
Hey, thanks for coming to Twitch. Yeah, we got you, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing good. If there's any delay, it might just be because if you're watching the video, you might want to mute the video just while you're talking, and then you can go back. But
It should be muted. Can you hear yourself running?
No, I'm good. So as long as you can hear us, you're fantastic. So, Zoo, welcome to Pantheon PlusYou. Welcome to the Discord. Welcome to the community. You kind of heard our piece. So the topic tonight is instance versus open world in MMORPGs. Where do you stand on it? Tell us a little bit.
I think I'm a bit younger than you guys, so I didn't grow up with EQ1. My first MMO was RuneScape back in 2004.
Oh, you're not that far off.
Right.
And then I moved into World of Warcraft, so that was my main game. So I've known instances pretty much my entire MMO life.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I'm a bit further down towards mixed than you two are. And the reason for that is, as we've all got older, we've all got jobs, we come home from work and we've got 3 or 4 hours to play.
Yeah.
I want to be able to... I like setting my goals. I want to go to kill this boss because he drops this loot I need to improve my character. I don't want to be griefed out and then go to a dragon and again, oh, it's dead again. That guild that's always there, that number 1 guild that has a load of no-lifers.
Yeah.
They just camp that boss every week. They've got alts that just sit there and they log in every day to see if it's respawned. That happens with world bosses in World of Warcraft all the time.
Yeah, and it's interesting because that has an effect on the economy too. And I know this isn't an economy show, but if one guild capitalizes, the items become super expensive because a lot of Pantheon's items are supposed to be tradable. Right? A lot of them. So if one guild does hold a really important area, that price of that item is going to skyrocket. That guild's going to get rich, and it's going to enable them to keep doing it. So,
don't get me wrong, that is cool, and that has immersion. But I think you have to weigh up how cool something is versus what percentage of the player base are going to be affected. That 0.1% of that guild or the top 2 guilds on the server, they're going to have a really good time. It's going to be a real cool storyline for videos in 10 years time when that MMO dies.
Hey, if we make it 10 years, I'm happy. I mean, don't get me wrong, I want to go more than 10 years, but I just want to see a successful launch. So you want to move this meter down a tiny bit, Zoo?
I do, and
I
think you raised it.
Yeah, I moved mine.
Yeah, definitely griefing is, and also with an older audience as well. We haven't got the time as we once used to. And also you've got people like me who are sort of coming from when we loved vanilla World of Warcraft, but we're not used to the hardcore EQ1. So I think that's going to make up the majority of the community, the people who love the old idea of old MMOs, but haven't had the chance to play it. And we see Pantheon as this like beacon of what we're looking forward to and what it could be amazing. But I think that full open world will be just too hardcore because we can't plan around our social lives and our gaming time around it, which most people do nowadays.
Now, for both of you guys, and sorry, Nathan, I think I cut you off there. I'll let you go here in a second. For both of you guys, it's funny. I don't have any worry about dungeons. I have a lot more worry about raids. Is that the same thing technically? Where do we start?
It's just the amount of people, I would say. I think for smaller people, for smaller groups, it's all right because then if you're struggling, there'll be other groups around. You can say, "Hey, do you want to join up?" And you're going to make more friends, and then you can. That's going to grow the community. But when it comes to raids, and maybe you've got an epic quest line where you need to summon a boss, you could have a rogue in stealth then messing it up for you, like stopping the summon or whatever, or tagging the boss before you guys do. That's why I'm worried.
I think you've pretty much probably summed up very well. By the way, the main concern with open world raiding, especially, but even dungeon running, right, where there's bosses, they have drops and you want them, etc. Right. I think if there's other concerns, I'm not aware of them, right? Like that is the concern, what you just said, and it was summed up really well. But do we have to get rid of the beauty of open world to do that? Is there not rules? Is there not lockouts or some things we could do? Because, all right, let's say you only have a certain amount of time, right? And you have this specific thing you want to do, right? But it's not available, okay? Now, let's say there's some rules in place to where the guild, a specific group of people, let's just say that, can't hold that same boss over and over again because there's lockouts, right? They have to choose, depending on the size of the group, the size of the guild, there's a certain percentage of times they can do it depending on how big the guild is, right? I'm making stuff up off the top of my head. It's probably not going to work perfectly, but you get the idea. You can put these systems in place so that, they could run it once, and maybe you do log on and you only have 4 or 5 hours, right? You log on, you have this idea you want to do, you get there, it's not available, right? Is that so bad? Is there not?
As long as there's something else to do.
Something else to do. And if you look
Which
at
is
the way
fine.
that they're building the game with so much content in mind, right? Like farming for so many various types of equipment, right?
Yeah.
Like with different benefits. So, I mean, I think you're going to find that no matter how much time you have to play the game, you're never going to feel like you have enough time to do everything you want to do anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting too. I think. Thank you. Hebrew Hammer just signed up for following us. Thank you. Yeah, Zoo, awesome, man. Thank you. Thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for jumping into the community. Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
I've been following Nathan for a while. He's a pretty cool guy, and I've started following you. So.
Oh, I appreciate it. See,
Appreciate
Nathan.
you,
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you. Yeah. Hey, and I'm trying to get him to make a puppet for me, guys. So.
Oh, you want a puppet of you?
I mean, someday. I mean, if we could have an epic battle where we could do a show together. And we could just have my puppet and your puppet doing the show. I mean, I think that has to happen. Awesome. So awesome contribution there from Zoo talking about the different things. I think he summed up some of the concerns a little bit there. So we've moved your meter down a little bit. I'm going to stay where I'm at right now. Let's see what happens here. So let's go ahead. We're going to bring in Hoye next. So Hoye, you're up next. Bringing you up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What is going on, Hoye? How are you?
Hey guys, how are you?
Doing good. I'm going to turn him up a tiny bit. He's a little quiet. You're good. Go ahead. What's up, Hoye?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Going well. So where do you stand on this? I actually don't know. And if anyone doesn't know Hoye, he's hosted the show with us before. He is a Green Bay Packers fan, so sorry about your damn luck. And let's go ahead. You're up.
Super Bowl. Next year.
I live in Packerland, my friend.
Oh, I know.
I saw that. That's why I like you a little bit more than Minus now.
It's not hard. So, Hoye, where do you stand?
So, honestly, I think I'm going to have to get in the game and see how it's done to see how much I like it or not. Because the biggest factor right now is how much content is there. So, instancing has some positives, no matter how much we don't like it. It's got some positives that, for the most part, if you are ready to raid, you can go in there and you can get a raid. You can get your mobs and stuff like that. But, for the same reason as you guys, I'd rather have an open world. So if they can provide enough content and they can make it to where you don't have those top 2 guilds that are just hogging everything, whether raid zones or just dungeons where people are just farming it over and over just for the loot. If they can do it in such a way that that's not an issue, I'd rather just keep everything open. For the most part, I would like to see very rare instances that are just like, if you actually find them, you're like, holy shit, this is an actual instance. But those would have to be for epic quest abilities or very specific class abilities. I mean,
hard to get to. Rare. It's not just out in the middle of a town and you walk into it or teleport to it. Yeah.
Yeah, like you got to fight all the way to the end and then get into the instance, something like that,
Yeah. It is interesting. So here's a question for you, because you brought up something in it. It made me think, and Nathan, jump in on this too. So the one thing that we've all said, well, even people who are all for open world have said, well, there has to be a lot of content. So how do we feel about VR being a small company, having to punch out a ton of content? And then we look at someone like Blizzard, who doesn't have much content and they have millions of dollars and a huge team. Now, is that because that's how Blizzard chooses to design it? Or are we asking for too much for VR to make this super content heavy, rich area where all our guilds can go do something on a Friday night?
Well, I certainly think Blizzard is a little bit lazy as far as how much content they push out. I'm not a big WoW guy, but from what I hear, that's kind of the feeling I get. Now it's to the point though that yes, VR is a small team, and this is hopefully they're not biting off more than they can chew as far as saying, hey, look, man, we're going to be dumping so much content at you, you don't have to worry about it. And that was one of Joppa's biggest things over, I think it was a December stream, is that a dungeon may end up being too big or it may be too small for a ton of groups in there.
Yeah. So
they may be pushed out to go somewhere else, but because we have so much content, it's not an issue. Black Barrel's full, let's go to Stormhold or whatever. Now, one thing that I was thinking about this as well, though, earlier today is that one way to make it to where it seems like there's a lot of content, but not actually having to put out so much content, is to have kind of like sort of like a phasing system to where like you have an open raiding zone. Hold on, hear me out.
I'm listening. I promise.
An open raid zone, to where like that's what they're talking about, where you've got mobs and everybody, it's just all open, and you can go in there and just kind of pull what you want. But make it to where, like, say my guild goes in there and kills them on a Monday night. Well, we killed that mob. He's down. He's done. And for us, we don't even see him in that zone anymore.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
And then you can go in there, and we can see each other. We're standing right next to each other. Well, we've already killed our mob, so we can't see him. And then you find him down the road passing, and then your guild can kill him on Tuesday. And then we got to wait until Saturday or something before we find him again as well. So
I'd say only in raids. Raids. Yeah,
definitely only for raids. Because that's the biggest issue, is that everybody's going to want to raid and pull those mobs. Dungeons, I think, will be fine the way they are, like as in EverQuest and EQ2, some of those other games like that. Because hopefully the dungeons should be big enough, and there should be a lot of them that you can just go in there and just. I mean, mostly that's probably where we're going to be for grinding, and it'll take you a while to even get to a name. So.
Nathan, before I start, what do you have to say on that? So the phasing part.
Yeah, so it's a great idea, right? And if they did that, I would be happy with it, okay? My whole thing, though, is, guys, we're missing out on a magic here, okay? A magic that doesn't exist at all anymore. And it may not be the most important thing to Pantheon. It's not, actually. But do you guys remember how cool it was and how excited and nervous and just like it was the most epic thing? Like you tell everybody, shut the hell up, I'm doing this raid and I've been waiting to do this for a month and I'm so excited and I'm nervous and I'm like, oh, please don't let me mess up. I've been wanting to do this so bad. And you get there and you see the boss, you've watched videos of it, now it's you and you're there and it's so insane and it's this big event. And it's absolutely magical. And when we start saying, oh, we want everybody, and I get it, man. I want to be able to do everything too, right? But when we get to a point where, like, everybody needs to be happy, right? Nobody's going to be happy in the end. We're just going to be bored, and we're going to run through this content too fast. And then we're going to be bored with the whole game, and we're just going to be doing it over and over on a treadmill. When it's more magical and it's harder to get in, and it takes effort, and it takes you even having to call out for work, and I know that's not a good thing to say, but when it takes...
That's what sick days are
things
for.
Like that. That's what sick days are for. That's exactly right. Raid day, sick day, same thing. When it stretches the content out, right? Like, it makes the game longer, cooler, more magical, and lives longer. The end game lasts longer, in my opinion. That's what I think.
Okay.
So I would be a fan of having a couple of those world bosses where they don't phase. They're just that there's one, and you get them once a week or whatever there is, something like that. Maybe my guild just happens to be out there, or maybe I lose it to the guild that wakes everybody up at 2 in the morning on the bat phone.
I miss that too. I know I'm a weirdo.
I know, and I keep saying that there's no way I can do that these days. I'm telling you, my cell phone's gonna be right by my bed, and someone's gonna have my phone number to call me and wake me up. I'll probably go to bed with my computer ready. I mean, I'm sitting here saying, I'm 36 years old. I have a daughter, and I have a job, and I'll be the first guy like, what? Yeah. Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there. Hold my spot. Hold my spot. No, don't invite him. He's an asshole. That's my spot.
Yeah.
So here's what's interesting. When you brought up the word phasing, I misread what you were saying. I was thinking you were saying like once so many people were in the zone, another version of it started up. And EQ2 did that.
They did do that. Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like that so much.
Yeah, I'm not too much of a fan of that.
Is phasing better than instancing though?
If you mean like, so if you kill a boss, it's not there, but other people can see it. Yeah, it's better.
I say yes because it doesn't close off the world.
I agree.
The biggest reason I hate instancing and a lot of this stuff nowadays is because, like, you can see there's thousands of people online right now on your server, but where the hell is everybody? You walk outside, there's nobody there.
Yeah.
They're all in an instance somewhere.
Yeah.
So
true.
it looks to you like, man, this game is dead. But then, you look in /who or whatever, there's tons of people on, but, either everybody's right there on the mailbox or everybody's inside an instance, and it just kills the immersion to me.
I agree.
Like, that's why I would love to see some raid zones, some raid areas, like, you gotta go through this one specific zone where everybody's grinding.
Just make the main raid bosses like a huge keying process. That's it.
And I would also like to say, you made me think of something when you just said that. If they're and we don't really know, and this is from a game called Final Fantasy 11, but if they do have like points in the game where you have to do something very specific in order to advance further, like it's kind of like necessary. Like you would have to go fight Matt at whatever level it was in Final Fantasy 11 to even continue leveling up, and I don't think Pantheon's going to do that. I'm just saying, if there are like roadblocks, like, hey, look, you got to here, we need you to do this, or else you're going to be worthless, right? Then those are situations where maybe we look at phasing and stuff like that so that people aren't actually screwed. But I don't think Pantheon's going to have that type of thing. Could. But that's where I would be. I think everybody be a little more open when they got to that point and be like, yeah, okay, this is something we all have to do. We don't want to make a line from here to, know, the next zone,
Right. And for me, you mentioned, we don't necessarily want to get to that point where everybody gets to have their piece of cake. It should be challenging. And for me, I don't want the challenge to be just to even be able to tag the mob to pull him. I want the challenge to be the fight itself. I don't think I don't think you should have to fight forever just to even have a chance to see if you're good enough to kill this mob. I want to actually fighting and killing the mob to be the challenge. And so that's kind of where I stand.
All right. Oh yeah, what do you want to do with that red meter?
Man, it depends so much on how well they're going to execute it that I don't know. I'd say just leave it where it's at for now.
Okay. Oh yeah, thanks, buddy. Take it easy, man.
Thanks,
I'll talk to you later. Yep.
Good talking to you, man.
All right, we'll be jumping back into the green room here in a second. But Sacred from VR is in the chat, and he said he's curious what people would think about like the zerging bosses to take them down and overpopulating the zone and taking them down that way with a larger than regular raid group. Simply put, once the raid group tags it, I think that the other groups should not be able to do anything to it.
Right.
They can't hit it.
DPS race.
They can't. Yeah. Hell, they can't even target it. Once it's engaged by a raid, the other people there can't influence the fight. Because the worst thing you can do is trivialize fights by bringing in two raid groups and killing it. Can't do that.
And we also got to talk about the other kind of zerging, which is where there's a raid boss in the open world. He's difficult, so the guild says, hey, absolutely everybody, level 1 to max level, come here at this time. We're just going to run in and we're going to beat the crap out of them, which they've already addressed that. VRR's already said that they have plans in place where if you tried to do that, very bad things would happen to you, kind of thing. So,
like empower the mob or something. Like imagine you bring in two raid groups to fight a boss and it doubles the boss's strength and power and just wrecks everybody.
Yeah, and then due to your actions, everybody else gets to laugh as he's massacring your entire guild.
All right, next we're gonna bring in let's bring in Vandrad. So Vandrad, you're next up on the show. I think I know where Vandrad's at on this, but let's see. Maybe I don't. So Vandrad, we're bringing you up now. Alumni. Mr.
Hello,
Vandrad.
sir. How are you?
What is up, Vandrad? How are you?
Oh, I'm enjoying my evening so far. I cannot complain.
Thanks for joining us on in this foreign world of Twitch.
Right?
We're big boys now. I was gonna actually upgrade from Michelob Ultra, but I forgot.
Like when you
It's
moved
like
over, when you moved over, it's like, why did the theme song from the Jeffersons start running through my head? Those who are old enough to remember that, thank you.
I got you.
Hey,
I
we're
got
EQ fans. We're all old
Damn
enough.
kids these days.
All right. So, Vandrod, what's your thoughts, man?
All right, so I liked all the points that have been made so far. Yes, we're talking a game that's being designed for an older group of players. We've got family, we've got responsibilities. Being able to plan ahead your guild activities, and I want to preface this by saying I'm only concerned about instancing when we're talking about raid content, not group level content. Being able to plan ahead will keep people in guilds and keep them playing longer. But I think one of the key points that we're missing here is not how much content is available, but the speed at which you can go from raid target 1 to raid target 2.
That's a good. Yeah, and
If you
respawn
look
and
back in
respawn.
EQ1, how quickly could a guild get from killing Trachanon to North Temple of Ishan? 6 minutes? 5 minutes? With Levitate, Spirit of Wolf, and all that good stuff. If you limit the ability to move large groups of people around the world in large distances in short periods of time, you're going to have to pick. We can do this target or this one, not both.
That's awesome.
So if you've
and
got
you
8
can
or
do
9,
that too?
Potential raid targets, let's say open world targets, if you've got 8 or 9 different targets out there, you're going to have to pick one, and that gives everybody else the opportunity to go after those targets.
You have to design the raids in a way where getting to a raid boss is a there and back type of thing. Yes. Right?
Just don't get there and then hit, mass group buff, evac, and now everybody heads off to the next one. No, you have to fight your way down, fight it, and then fight your way back.
Yeah. I actually really like that. And that kind of goes into something we've never talked about, at least on this show, is just the respawn rate of, trash and enemies and such. And, if you're going to fight your way in maybe not so much in a raid, but in a dungeon, if you're going to do that same strategy, you're going to fight your way to that camp, you're going to probably stay there. Right. So,
so in the long run, I would like to see balance where things it should make sense. I would like to see open world targets that just exist in the world and anybody can kill them when they're up. I would like to see things where you can spawn it deliberately after going through some series of tasks or quests or whatever specifically related to doing an epic quest. Ragefire was a good example. I want to be able to trigger this to do this particular quest on my time and not have anybody interfere. And then have some zones, entire raid zones, Plane of Fear, Plane of Hate sort of thing, even Vexthal, some of them being open and some of them being instanced. Again, a good, nice balance. So the decision then is still, I can't kill the target I want to kill tonight, but I still have other things that I could do raid-wise for the entire guild.
Yeah. Or even just farming trash, maybe. You find a good area to farm trash.
Exactly, yeah.
So here's what's interesting. As you were talking, Triple D from, I believe, the Rainborn Guild, he actually said, back in my day, the community managed the major raid encounters. We had 4 top kills, shared respawns. Yeah, no, I totally understand that. And there was a time period where EQ was what we remember, the play nice policies, where it was almost enforced. So I understand that is super, super possible.
But at the same time, though, there were guilds that stuck to that for a while, and then they realized, wow, it's really not in my best interest as a guild to follow that, and they threw it out the window, and it just devolved into a complete cluster.
Well, here's the funny part is, and I don't know the answer to this. So, Turin, you were agreeing with Triple D as well. Is society able to replicate what we've done in the past? That's my big fear. I mean, Nathan, do you think that the society that managed the game in EQ can exist in today's era?
Here's what I think. I think that yes and no. I think it's 2 answers, right? So, yes, I think when you create your game, I think the perception that we all have in our head right now of what it is going to be like, the negative sides of that, I think the reason that we think that is because we're thinking of MMOs today, and it breeds you to act like that, okay?
That's true.
That's something that the game made you behave that way, right? It's the way the gameplay was. It's rushing to quest, rushing to get in the dungeon, get back out, do it again, rinse.
Did you see what Mako just said?
No, I didn't.
We need a battle royale to see who gets the camp. Please.
A little mini game battle royale. No, please do not do that, VR. So I think that when the game Here's a good example, right? Here's a really good example, and you played with us. A lot of people did when we did the EverQuest 2 thing. We all were playing. There was like a crap load of people that were Pantheon fans, and we were all playing EverQuest 2 together. And it was the reset, so it was like the original days to the best of Daybreak's abilities. And so it was open world content, right? And we had mobs, we had boss mobs pulled from us. We had all kinds of things happen. But it definitely wasn't the norm, right? Because the game was pacing us to behave differently. And honestly, I think comparing the way players in MMOs today are to how they'll be in a game like Pantheon would be like saying the way I play Mario Brothers is the same way I'm going to play Dark Souls, which is not true, right?
Yeah. Maybe we're not giving the modern generation enough credit because they haven't had the opportunity to experience it.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you think of that,
had
Vandred?
the opportunity. They haven't had the necessity or the requirement to actually play together.
Right.
Yeah.
And we'll see
But
how
are they actually capable of stepping up and actually playing nicely? That I'm not sure of.
Or is the community strong enough that even if a guild is that strong, you get a couple guilds that maybe aren't as strong, but they unite to put that guild down a little bit? So that, I mean,
if you can't beat them, join them.
So Vandred, what do you want to do to that meter?
I would like to move it down to the third hash line there.
Ooh, well, it says here, I got to make sure of this because we had Kuros say, I agree with Vandred, move it up double for us. He thought you were going up.
No.
So-
I'm going. So I think there should be some degree of instance content. Again, it needs to make sense, and it should be, again, where it makes sense.
Yeah.
But again, a lot of these caveats are depending upon how they build the world. If it's big enough and it takes too long to move around, instancing may not be necessary. So I'm assuming that, again, small development team, that it's difficult to make a huge, world filled full enough of content. So we're going to need some level of instancing to survive. So I would say third hashtag there, or the third hash line there.
So we're at an interesting standpoint here because Kuro said, move it up like Vandred and me want to do because he wanted to double your movement, but he's opposite of you. So did Kuros just effectively negate you? Did that just happen?
Sure, I don't care. I mean, again, in the long run, this is like the last topic that I didn't really have one way or the other about, because however it comes out, it's really not going to affect me. My guild is going to race. We're going to win. We're going to be able to experience the content we want to experience. I'm thinking about it for the average player who's got a few hours, here and there, and wants to be able to experience all this content with their guild.
Yeah. It is funny because we keep tossing around this idea is like, just because someone wants to achieve something, I guess they really shouldn't. And in life, I don't believe in that at all. I believe you work for it. So it's like, why am I thinking that way in this game? Am I just trying to protect sub numbers? Like, do I want to make sure sub numbers stay high so that we can continue to play? There's this weird thing, like us hardcores that want all the hardcore stuff. We can't exist wholly as the hardcores. It doesn't work in this generation of gaming. You have to have people that are casuals playing as well, or a mixture of casual and hardcore, or just people that like to just log on and talk to people. You kind of need all that. So my only fear, if this was just about me and being selfish, then yeah, I would just want open world. But I'm just afraid of chasing people away from a game that's going to take them a long time to learn. But I guess at the same time, like, where does the line get drawn there?
Can I mention something that we're not talking about that's really important?
Yeah.
Most people aren't going to make it to max level. Let's be honest. Most people, they won't. And I'm not saying, now hang on, hear me out. I'm not saying because they don't want to. I'm saying that I believe that they'll make alts, right? That the journey will be so long that they'll be like, you know what, I want to try this. People get distracted, right? Look at the numbers of how many people hit max level in EverQuest by 2003, right? It's really low. It's really freaking low percentage-wise, right? Even in easier games, it's a little low, but it's a lot higher. I've seen the numbers. Can't quote them, but they're pretty freaking low, right?
Yeah, so, it's actually funny. Even in games like WoW that are really easy, the max levels aren't as prominent as you would think.
Yeah, now they're way more prominent,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
'Cause, you see them, you definitely see them. It's not like you see when you're like, whoa, a max level in World of Warcraft, crazy. But, they're not, it's less than you would assume. You'd assume everybody make it there because you could do it in a week, right? So you would think that they'd be everywhere. But I think that we're also forgetting that, like for me, for example, right? I'm going to want to raid, right? Just because it's fun, it's challenging, and it's hard, and it takes so much group and mechanics, and I love it, right? It's fun, but that's not even why I want to get to max level. I want to get to max level so I can help other people and like go to lower level zones, and have access to more things in the world to do without as many barriers holding me back, so I can explore dungeons in full depth and see every nook and cranny, so I can level sync back and help other people in the guild. So I can help people with perception quests, so I can help people get their epic gear, whatever, right? Like, that's my favorite thing, and I think there's a lot of people like that. There's also a ton of people who want to raid, as we learned from EverQuest 2 experiment. But we are forgetting that a mass majority of people will never raid in a game this hard.
Yeah. All right, Vandrat, I'm dropping you down. You were canceled tonight. Somebody...
That's fine. No,
I think somebody
I'm
used
perfectly
bits.
happy with that. I'm okay.
Yes, somebody used bits to highlight their message just to cancel you. I mean, that's actually
Nice.
That's actually pretty cool. I mean, if you think about it, that's a
Quit your
night
day
one
job, man.
Twitch memory, right there. I'm bringing you on all the time. You're
Sounds
Vandrat,
good.
thanks, buddy. I appreciate it, man. All right, we are going to get to. We got a new person down there. I think Nimufe. I maybe came on one other time, so I apologize if I don't remember correctly. But Nimufe, we're actually going to bring you in next. So you have your headset mic. Look, they're already ready to go. Nathan, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's bring him in. I haven't moved my meter yet. I'm thinking still it might move. Nimufe, welcome in.
Oh, hey, how's it going?
It's going good, man. Have you been on the show before? I recognize your name, but I'm not sure if you've been on before.
I've been in the chat. That's
Okay. Okay, that's my. Well, welcome to the show. Welcome to our Twitch show here. You came in and joined on our first one, so you're famous now. So now you're expected to be here every week, and you now have a role to play. So thank you for that. What are your thoughts on the topic?
Okay, well, to start with, I want it to be open world, like almost entirely. I'm totally standing for that, but I want it to be the guy that comes in and tries to convince people that instancing isn't bad.
Okay. All right. Nice perspective.
Just the way that it's done in the current generation of MMOs is, the sort of you just run along a loot corridor. That's what's bad about it. People try and just speedrun.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could still have instances that are identical to, like you just have Blackborough or something from EverQuest, but there's just an instanced version for you or your group or whatever. It doesn't have to be how people assume an instance is.
Yeah. That's the problem too, is it, I think maybe it's just how people act now, but it's always the worst case for stuff we don't like. We always think of the worst case, and we always think of, well, this is how it's going to be. And there's going to be, if there's a cash shop, don't get me wrong, I don't want a cash shop. But if there's a cash shop, like, oh, everyone who's rich is going to be the best. It's like we kind of jump to the worst case, but you're kind of right? If instancing can be done in a way that doesn't hand out all the free loot, what if it's lower tier? What if the open world gives you the better gear, but you can prep yourself in the instant stuff? So
a game tried that, sort of, right? What was that game called?
Hello Kitty Island Adventure?
No, I'll think of it here in a second. But anyway, they did that with it was a game based on PvP, right? They had open world PvP, and I'm trying to think of what game did that. They had open world PvP and no instancing, right? Then everybody complained and said they wanted BG, battlegrounds, stuff like that. So they added it, and it killed the open world, right?
Bronson saying Shadowbane?
I don't know if Shadowbane ever did. If they ever did instancing, I wasn't aware.
Someone said Darkfall. Yeah, I'm not sure.
But anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It did kill the open world content pretty heavy, and the people who wanted to do it, the hardcores or whatever, were left in the dust because they couldn't hardly even get groups together to do it. So that's the only example I can think of where they tried that.
Yeah. So Nimu, you said you want open world, but you're not going to be like, it doesn't seem like this is a line in the sand topic. I've used that phrase a few times on our show where there's certain things for people that are a line in the sand. Like if this happens in Pantheon, I'm out. And a lot of people, that's a cash shop. A lot of people feel that way. So this topic doesn't feel like a line in the sand for you. You'd prefer open world, but if instancing's done right, it's not going to chase you away.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm pretty sure Visionary Realms have some sort of way of dealing with, all the raid problems. But I think instances are just a solution to the overcrowding.
And we're talking raids, not dungeons, right? Like raids.
Yeah, I mean, you could do it with dungeons, but I think part of the fun in open world dungeons is having multiple groups in there because, sometimes if you want to get to later bosses, it helps if other groups are already in and have cleared the way rather than having to wade through all the trash.
Mm-hmm.
What if in the open, so this is interesting. What if in open world raids, it's totally off the top of my head. It's going to sound ridiculous, I'm sure. You're fighting your way through, there's a bunch of raids and you get to an area and it's like a vent. So like there's this long path, you get there, the boss you want to fight's down there, and you walk through this corridor and an event initiates. And it's like a gauntlet. Your guild has to fight their way through that gauntlet, push their way through this difficult content to get to the other side. And that events or those things that could be within these raids or dungeons can be what sort of separates the ability to get through these areas where it's not necessarily a boss, but it's some kind of event that makes it difficult to get through. I mean, is that... Yeah, good.
Yeah, something like that would be pretty cool. But I was thinking more about, sort of talking about the raid races, trying to assemble everyone together to get world bosses just as they spawn. So if they come up with solutions to how to, deter that or work around it, like, let's say after whoever kills the boss first, other guilds for a certain amount of time afterwards could interact with the corpse to summon a shade of it or something to refight it, for a limited amount of time. Or after defeating the boss, it drops an item that lets you summon it again. But obviously the ones that killed it would be locked out. So you could give that or sell that on to other guilds so they could summon it that week. Just little things
add
like
to
that.
The economy, that's actually pretty smart. Yeah.
Or just change the system. You don't have to add whole new instant zones. Just find little tweaks to what the...
Yeah, that's true. And there's a lot of systems I think they could do. And here in a second, even though I don't agree with it, I'm going to make an opposite argument. But somebody will say something here in a minute to trigger it, and I'll wait for that. But I do like that. I think that things like that are probably the direction, something in those kind of realm of things that VR will end up doing. Or they could just also open up a cash shop, and for $1.50, you. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, you want to kill this? You walk up to a door for a boss fight, and you have to enter your ATM pin. Oh my God! Could you imagine?
Whoever has the highest bid gets to fight the raid boss.
Yeah, you have two guilds just spending. Oh yeah, well, someone's in the guild's like, Minus, can you pitch in on this? Shit, okay, I'll give you $10. And Guild A has donated $20 to take this kill, and then Guild 2 is like, no, we got 25. Do I hear 30? Do I hear? Oh my gosh, would that be a rough situation? Nemo Face, so what do you want to do to that meter, and how bad am I butchering your name?
It's Nemufe.
Nemufe, not horribly, but okay, all right. Nemufe, what do you want to do with that red meter?
Maybe move it up just a tiny.
Okay, move it up a little bit. Vandrad's happy. Vandrad sort of got his move through you. So, and if we can make Vandrad happy, we're having a good show. Let's be honest with ourselves. Nemufe, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome conversation, man.
Take it easy. All right. Good stuff. It's good stuff. I mean, I like how he came in. He said, listen, I want open world, but let's stop panicking about instances. We have a tendency to do that. I mean, that's kind of the whole point of the show is take a big stance and fight for it, right?
Yeah, that's right. And I think this is probably the most sacred of at least for me, right? Because I found out about Pantheon by actually Googling old school public dungeon open world MMORPG coming soon, right? And Pantheon popped up, and then I was like, Brad McQuaid, say what? Right? Like, that's how I found it. I was literally searching for something that was an instance.
That was your big draw, yeah.
I was tired of it. I was tired. You know, we've all been there, done that. You know,
it's so funny because I feel again like I want camping. I want to camp. I want to sit somewhere, and I want Haya to pull mobs to me while I scout ahead, and I want to BS and make fun of people and joke and drink and kill mobs and hand out loot.
Like we did when we played EverQuest together, right? And for those weeks, me, you, and Haya, and we just hung out, and we barely did crap.
It was so fun.
We had so much fun.
It was like our own game. Like we found our spot, and we had our own game, and it wasn't instanced. And you know, when people came by, we were real quick, like, okay, pull an extra one. We can handle two. You know, show them we're not messing around.
And I thought actually until I think that was a week or two ago, I thought everybody in the Pantheon community is going to love camping, right? And I made a video called, you know, something like that, like bring back the camping, or I can't wait for camping, whatever. No, it turns out that people don't like to camp. Now, that was something that they always talked about, like, oh, you don't have to camp in Pantheon. It's more about moving and progressing deeper, and you know,
which is also very good.
It is,
because that doesn't exist. Like in WoW, there's no progressive movement. It's just whatever pace you want to go, and you just wait. You can take a break. Like this game, like if you're in a certain area, nobody can take a break. Like we need to keep moving because this stuff behind us is going to respawn, and if we don't get to a safe point, we've just lost all that progress. And I like that a lot.
I like that too. Yeah. It depends
I don't think that can exist in instancing, right? I mean, you could, but then, man, you're like, I think it was Hoye who said, just when there's instances, the one thing it really does is it does kill the world flavor. And that's the same thing with like sharding or phasing, like and like different versions of the world, like and cross server, like all that stuff makes the world feel empty. So that, you know, Hoye,
it makes it feel.
How long ago did Hoye talk? Authentic. Like 30 minutes ago. He just moved me up even more, going up more. Okay, we're gonna grab in. Let's go with Mythius. Mythius, we're going to bring you in next, so get ready. I love that the delay is a lot shorter because we can say that and then just really grab them. So here's Mythius. Mythius, what is up? Uh-oh. This happened before. Oh, he lit up. He wasn't there. He's chasing his kids around. He had to use the bathroom. All right, we're going to drop Mythius down, but if you come back, we'll get you going. Okay, so let's grab... We got a lot of people here. Let's grab Theric, fellow Pantheon Plus member Theric. We are bringing you in if you want to unmute your mic, and if you want to undo your headset there, and we will bring you in. Bronson. Everyone's making up stories. Okay, guys, for the rest of this, everybody make up stories in the chat about what Mythius is possibly doing. Like, just make up crazy stories. Try not to be too vulgar about it. We don't want the moderator bot thing to keep going, but make up stories like, what was he doing? Everybody's just saying pooping. Everybody.
And whoever's the most wrong has to give minus 1,000 bits.
No, I don't even. Here's how I don't even know what that means. Like, I'm gonna just be honest with you. Like, I'm old, like dad. Like, I'm like, what's this book face that you're on? Like, bits.
Dude, you remember what bits are, dude? Remember we had 8-bit and we went to 16-bit.
Oh yeah.
So it's good.
I haven't heard bits better. Like bits stopped after 64.
It did.
Nobody said like we're making a 128-bit console. Like, did you? What happened? To that? Like, how many bits is an Xbox One and Series X? I'm gonna mess it. When we're done, I'm tweeting at Xbox. But like, you know, my NES was 8-bit. How many bits?
I know the
answer.
The
Xbox. Go for it. What is it?
It's 512. Find out for sure. Pretty sure it's 512.
512 bits. All right, we're gonna bring in Theric. Here he is. Sorry, Theric, we got into talking about pooping. What's up, man? How are you?
It's all good. How are you?
Welcome, man. Welcome. Again, I don't want to keep tooting on your own horn here, but good job on that video, man. It was awesome.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't seen it, check it out, please.
Thanks. No, thanks very much. It's fun. And Nathan's my inaugural subscriber to my now defunct YouTube channel. So Nathan,
not necessarily. We can still build that. So.
No, I don't want to. I'm on board, man.
Well, hey, thank you for so here, if you weren't in here early, guys, Theric joined Pantheon Plus and we were talking about it at the beginning of the show. But what's really cool is I this just all started today, this whole Twitch thing. I mean, I've been working on it for the week, but he jumped in and I'm like, oh, you're a moderator. He's like, oh crap. So thanks for taking on that role for whatever that is.
As long as I'm adding here, I can't moderate. So
yeah, right. So there you go. I'm saving you. Derek, so what's your opinion on this?
I'm pretty hardcore open world, completely open world. I think an open world is the soul of an MMO. I really do. Like, instancing is a tool. It's a technical solution to what I think is a social problem. And so, you know, I'll take a little different perspective from what has been talked about so far, and sort of like looking at technical solutions to this problem. I think it's a social problem, and I think we, you know, instancing came in, and so the tools, the social tools that we had to deal with this kind of a problem got taken away because now instancing was there. So people have forgotten. I think we've forgotten how to deal with the problems that instancing was put in to alleviate, because we haven't had to use our social tools. So I don't have all the answers, but I think it's something to do with communication, you know, coordination and cooperation. You know, there's the saying that when the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail, right? So I think that that's sort of where we are with this kind of stuff. Yeah, I feel like some of the conversation that's gone on already, I totally agree with. There is a need for a lot of content if you're going to go open world, like fully open world. You need the content to support that. I like Vanderad's point about the distance between you know, points where the content is located to sort of support an open world approach to things. So those are good points. But at the end of the day, I really do. I think it's a social issue.
Awesome. Yeah. So you're saying that. See if I can put this the best way possible, is that the reason that instancing came up was a lazy solution to a social problem?
Yeah, I kind of feel like
That's a really good point.
It's an easier solution, and it maybe at the time it was also a technical solution for a technical problem. You know, like we don't have the server issues or maybe the numbers of people that existed back
it's really weird to me that, you know, and I brought this up earlier, and I don't mean to keep repeating the same thing here, but like, it's weird to me because, and I asked the question, some people answer this, and apparently everyone thinks this. Nathan, you said you just think Blizzard's sort of lazy with this. Is the whole content side of it. Like, there aren't a ton of dungeons in WoW.
Well, now there kind of is.
Not really. Like, when BFA launched, there were, like, 6?
Well, no, I mean, like, because...
Yeah.
I mean, like, original...
Yeah, to now, and
it's
scaling.
Kind of a lot, but they don't release a lot of content per expansion or in between.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Cerulean also brought up a good point. He said Blizzard wasn't the first people to do instance dungeons. That's true. That's definitely true. I mean, even EQ2 had it wasn't necessarily instances, but they would fill up, and there'd be like number 2, number 3, number 4 of them if there were a lot of people in them. Like there was a cap to how many people could be in the area. It was, I guess, it was instance, but it was sort of open. That makes sense. So
yeah, it just made sure that there would be some camp spots available, because if we got to so many players in the dungeon, we create another version of itself.
Yeah, like sharding, as Gula said. Yep.
Yeah, sharding. Yeah.
So
maybe I'm being optimistic. Like I'm not. Maybe I'm being too optimistic, but I think that I think people can work together, and I think that, you know, I think Budrick in the chat said, what's the social problem? And I think it's just a lack of, we're so ready for the griefers. We're so ready for these kind of problems that are going to be there. And we're so scared of them. And I mean, I get it. It's, you know, I don't want that, but I think we're just a little bit over selling the issue. And I don't think the griefing is going to be crazy bad. I mean, if the community sort of is what it is right now, and the people that are, you know, in this community right now are the people playing the game. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being optimistic. But
you know what also didn't help the social problem though? Taking away consequence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean,
exactly, anonymity, and part of that is like, you know, knowing who's who. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that having a death penalty that's legit is going to stop a lot of griefers, because when they are beat, they're going to suffer instead of just being like whatever and walking away. There's going to actually be a penalty to attempting it. So,
and the steps that VR is kind of taking to make sure that your reputation matters. Like they've already said, you can't change your name, right? Because they don't want you to be able to have this terrible reputation, change your name, and everybody doesn't realize it's you. The douche is back, right? So
that's a great point.
Reputation is huge, man, because you don't get groups no more. Like, if a whole guild wants to be a douche, right? And that's the main argument I've heard against it. Like, you got a douche guild A, right? And they're like, well, it doesn't matter because we got each other. That doesn't last forever, man. That doesn't last forever.
Booch said, did you just say Booch?
No, not Booch. Douche. Two very different things.
Easily interchangeable.
Is it?
Though.
Is it? Oh, sorry. Sorry, Booch.
No,
I love Booch. He's good. He knows.
Yeah, he even said same thing. So, Theric, what do you want to do with that meter then? What are you thinking?
All the way to the top, man.
Ooh, we're moving it up.
Wow.
Guys moved me up. He's moving up.
Yep.
We've been
It's
pretty one-sided. I'm actually pretty excited about this. All right, we're moving it up. Theric, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it, man.
Right, thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you, man. Good
talking
talking to you.
Thanks, Nathan.
All right, don't worry. We will still get to. We still have Idiotech, we have Fragile, and we have Booch. So let's go ahead and bring Booch in. We were just chatting about Booch. Let's bring him in. Kuros is excited. That meter's moving up. He went and got another drink. He's like, we're having a good night tonight.
He's celebrating.
He's celebrating. He just popped a cork.
It's almost as good as the Packers going to the Super Bowl, I guess.
Sorry, I just had this weird thought.
I'm not even a Packer fan.
What was it? What was the Nathan?
Yeah.
You told me you were moving to Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
What was the very first thing I said to you immediately when you told me that?
I almost wore one. I was going to go buy one just for the stream, just because I remembered you saying that. But I'm not an Aaron Rodgers fan, so no, I will not be wearing his jersey.
Yeah, I told him.
But I almost bought it just for the stream.
Yeah, I was like, if you're moving to Green Bay, you better not become a Packers fan. That's the first thing I said. All right, let's go ahead and bring Booch in. He's ready to go. What's up, Booch?
What's happening?
Not much, man. How are you? I'm getting a little echo from you. Do you have the Twitch channel muted? There you go.
It's off. It's off.
All right.
It's muted. Yeah, it's muted.
All right. What's up, man? How are you? What are you feeling?
Always a pleasure.
Yes.
The Booch.
TNN, always a pleasure.
What's up, man?
So I'm saying that in a perfect world, the open world content is the way to go. But unfortunately, we don't live in a perfect world. So I'm thinking that instances are going to become a necessary evil. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean it's so interesting because this is a topic that really has to work itself out.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's going to be, and this is, there's a lot of things I don't envy VR in. I don't envy them with dates and the harassment they get on dates. I don't envy that. I don't envy them in trying to figure out how much to give away versus how much to keep secret so we experience it. I don't remember that. I don't envy that. Sorry. And then when it comes to this, so here's what's going to happen. This is Minus's world. I wish I could have like a speech bubble come up and dream about this. Launch with open world. It's going to get a little rough. There's going to be some battling, complaining. There's going to be some, we'll call it some Reddit. There's going to be some Reddit about it.
I like it. I like it.
And then it's going to get big, and there's going to be a war of the people that want to keep it how it is and the people that want to change it. And that's when VR is going to have to make a decision.
Right.
And that decision is going to have just the most massive of effects.
Well,
Do they stay true, or do they make an adjustment?
Well, I think it sounds like they might have something in the works because it seems like there are viable options to instances. For example, that system that they're gonna come up with where, like you're saying, keyed or flagged, where one of us or all of us in the group have done this mission, so we can request this raid, and we go into X dungeon, and the boss pops for us, where there's other people in the dungeon that they can't even aggro the boss.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would be an option. But then if you're talking some kind of a progression system, we both know, I mean, I was in a guild in EQ that was in competition at the end of my run in EQ. We were in competition for the first guild to defeat the current expansion content. So it was us and another guild. We're in the same server in Zegany. We're going back and forth. Who was going to be the first? So they were, it's someone's tendency. There'll be the tendency to want to hamper people's progression just so you can get the prestige. I mean, that's always that's always going to happen. So they're going to have to figure out a way so people won't be able to hamper your progression during the game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's interesting. It's definitely, yeah. And so Budrick just said he feels like if they do everything not instance, that they're going to end up shooting themselves in the foot if they're not.
I don't think it will be that, because look, let's go off to a little bit of a tangent.
Yeah.
Let's take Reign of Darkness, for example. You're playing. Look
it.
at how the community's been playing in that game. Look how helpful everyone is in that game. I'm sure that's how when this game launches, it's going to be similar to that in the beginning. You know what I'm saying?
Because it's not
just
mass
by the
appeal.
vibe, just the vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you know what's funny? If this was the same game, but it was called Game of Thrones, then we couldn't do this. Does that sound weird? Like if it was Game of Thrones, Rise of the Fallen, like it would attract in the mass media crowd.
Yeah.
And this game's probably not going to attract in the mass media crowd because it's a new IP, right?
Yeah.
So in the beginning, everyone's going to be, Fragile just said it right. Everyone's going to kind of be a noob and everyone's going to be nice. And then reputations start building, right?
I think so. Because you know damn well, a new recipe gets discovered or something like this gets discovered. Other games where people, they keep that to themselves, they tell their buddy, you know what I mean? So you can make this item and until it leaks out. I guarantee you in this game, that thing will be, as soon as someone, I know if it was me, I'd have it right in chat immediately. Look, if you do this, you get this, boom, and everyone can do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the vibe I get,
Yeah, and here's another thing. So we're waiting. That's another subject, but we're waiting for it, and we're waiting for a considerable amount of time, I'll say. And when we finally, the community right now, we're good people, right? I'm just going to say it. We're good people. We're the best. But anyway, we're not the only ones going to be entering that world. We don't even know how much of a percentage people like us will actually inhabit the world, right? So that's a concern of mine, is that I know this community could make it work, right? Like there'd still be arguments, there'd be disagreements, there'd be things like that. There'd be a little drama. But I feel like this community, if we were the only ones playing the game, was this community now, besides Reddit, they could have their own server. I already mentioned that in another...
That'd be cool if there was a Reddit server. We just avoid that.
There should be a Reddit server, yeah, and we just avoid that. But anyway, we would be okay. We would be good. But there will be people that get in this game because it's hard, right? And because they want to be the best, and so they play the hard game, and they stream it, and they're jerks, and blah, blah, blah. It'll be interesting to see what those clashes end up being like, of the Pantheons versus the, I don't know what you call that, the douches, right?
The neckbeards.
Well, let's be fair. Let's be fair. Not everyone that's not, I think this has to be said. Not everybody who isn't a Pantheon fan or a hardcore fan is a douche.
Right.
So because what?
Did you say if you're not a Pantheon fan, then you could also not be a douche?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
It's possible. It's unlikely. But I mean, people went through walls
but
before cars.
To take that a step further, for all we know, there will be so much content in this game that there won't be any competition. You know what I'm saying? We'll be talking on Discord or whatever, and it'll be like, where are you at? Oh, I'm way the hell over here. And there's nobody here. You know what I'm saying? Or you could, for all we know, that's the way it's going to be.
I'm camping the hermit in Corona.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why open world is so great, because the feeling when I walk into this area, there's this, watch out, you got a path around this way because you'll aggro this giant boss that's right there.
Yeah.
And guaranteed when you go there, he's going to be there. That's the cool thing about it. You know what I mean? Not where, okay, if you come in here and you get this mission, you click on this door, it takes you into this room where it's just you, all by yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's why to me, I like the open world system better. But like I said, I think it's going to be a necessary evil to be some kind of an instance or some workaround. Like I was saying, with that magic system they have in play where, only you can see the bad guy or some deal.
Yeah, and the big thing too that you just mentioned is having enough content, right? in the last little update we got on January 16th, there was a whole period of time there where Joppa was talking about the issue of they were worried that you could level up completely in this one pocket of zones,
Yeah, that's
right?
a good point.
And never even see the rest of the world. And he's like, I don't want that to happen. They're concerned that the journey from level up has too much content. Imagine the zones available, because they're mentioning full zones of raid content, right? Not like 3 raid bosses, right? They're talking about 3 full zones full of many raid events and things, right?
Well, I think that's where lore content ties in too.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You tie in the lore, so to get the full immersion of the game, go full circle, you have to go over here. You have to go over there. You have to go where the elves are. You have to go where the dwarves are. You can't just stay in your little human area. You got to go and maybe fight a couple Scar.
I will never go to where the elves are.
You know
unless
what I
I'm
mean?
going
Maybe
to kill them.
have some fish sticks with a dark mirror. Something like that.
I'm into
Right.
that. I could do that.
The
All right, Booch, what do you
one-liners.
want to do to that meter?
I would say, well, are we going by what I hope for or what I think's going to
This
happen?
is all you, man. This is what you want. This is your life.
All right. All right, from where it is right now, I would actually say go 1 tick down towards mix, because I think it's going to need mixed.
We're gonna go
I think
halfway.
we're going to need mixed. I really do.
All right. Wow,
Yeah,
that surprised me.
that's
Okay.
good. That's
All right,
good.
man.
That's good.
Whoa, you went too far.
Yeah, you went too far.
All right, Booch. Take it easy, man. Thank you.
All right, man. Bye.
Good discussion. All right, we have a few more, so we will get to you. Keep one. Idiot EQ. I cannot not see that. He's never even played EQ. His name is Idiot EQ in one word, but it's actually Idiotech.
Oh.
But I see it as Idiot EQ.
That's what I thought too.
I will never unsee it. I can't. I
can't.
know
I
that
thought
it's
that's what it was
Idiotech.
too.
But I'm
Okay,
still
Idiotech. All right.
All right, so I'm gonna grab Idiotech in, and then we'll go with Fragile, and then Yeti. So that'll be our wrap up for what we have in there right now. We got time for that, right? You good, Nathan? How you feeling?
I'm good, man.
How we
I
feeling,
may have
chat? Was that? I'm sorry, you made it to what?
I may have to use the bathroom at some point. I've
All
been
right, we'll do.
drinking a lot.
I'll flash it over to just being me, and then you can run.
Okay.
And then when you get back, just let me know, and I'll flash. Or we can just look at your puppets behind, which we might actually just do that instead.
I'll put one right here. for you
Oh,
guys.
perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead. We're gonna bring in Idiotech. So Idiotech, if you want to unmute your mic, we'll bring you in. You guys all good in the chat for a few more minutes here? We usually go an hour, and then we have a half hour overtime. So we're about to hit the end of the half hour overtime, but this is our first night in Twitch, so we'll go a little bit longer. Make it a little bit. So here's Idiotech coming in now. What's up, man? How are you?
Hello.
I can't unsee it. I can't. And here's the thing. I can't unsee it. And here's the best part. This poor guy, I'm calling him Idiot EQ. Episode 1. He never tells me. He doesn't. He's like, I'll just let him call me Idiot
Listen,
EQ.
I just roll with it. Like, okay, with a name like this, and with the fact that we all play competitive games, you don't think I haven't been called out like, oh, you're just like your name, bro, or something.
Be like, wait, I'm
trash.
like a. No. Oh, geez. So, what are your thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, I kind of came in halfway. I missed like the first few people talking, but
It was just me, probably. So you're good.
Everyone's making really valid points. I like that Napalm's here because he's one of the other people in the community that have played FF11, which is where I come from. Not EQ, but Final Fantasy 11.
Yes.
And I don't think like the more you guys started to talk about it, the more I realized, and I think that you're right. I think we have a pretty high expectation of the amount of content that a small team is going to be able to deliver on. I'm very pessimistic in a way. I can't see them pushing out the amount of content that we want. But what I can see them doing is having a level of difficulty that makes the content that they do have palatable. Like,
yeah,
you have to
where
go
you brought up a good point. So in chat, answer this question for me. There's some stuff in here because I'm actually curious to hear what a lot of people have to say about this, and Idiotech, you can as well, and Nathan. If they come out and there's not just if there's 30 guilds trying to do content and there's not enough for them, I mean, are we going to be mad at VR for that? I mean, where are we as a community going to be like, well, that's just too much to ask? I think that's a difficult thing for us, because I think no matter what, a majority is going to be upset. But like,
I think there's going to be a lot of content because of this isn't a game where you just get the best in slot and then you go fight all the raid bosses. You're going to need heat resistance for this one, right? You're going to need frost resistance for that one. You're going to need, et cetera, et cetera. So it's going to take a long time to be like, this is the raid boss we're doing tonight.
And what your guild decides to go into, you have to prep for type of things. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I believe. And also, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, no, I was just going to say, like, you playing, having played FF11, I came into the game a few years after it had come out, and I started playing it on PC. And some of the things you were talking about earlier, of some of like the roadblocks, some of the quests you needed to do at 50, 55, the job quests, some of those were really difficult, even with like 3 of my level 75 friends. So I can only imagine when everyone was 55 trying to help each other, you needed huge groups. It took time. And it used to take us 6 hours to finish a quest for me. And I had 3 friends, Ninja 75. Like, I had all these friends with good gear. So I can only imagine, again, how hard it was at the time when everyone was actually leveling together. And that's what I think will be the saving grace for this game. You'll have people who aren't used to that level of difficulty, who it might take forever. I used to level in Dunes for way too long,
Yeah.
So I think that's where it's going to come in. We're worried about our content because we've played games for so long now, Elder Scrolls Online, Arcade, where you're just flying through the content, just soaring through it, and then you're at the end and you're like, "Whoa, where's all this content?"
Leveling's an inconvenience. It's not the game in those.
It's not the game. Yeah, it is the roadblock they put behind this game. Whereas we all want to play this because it will be the game. The whole leveling experience will take months. Many months. I'm hoping.
I just hope, Bronson, you're in chat down there. I really hope that we can find a nice little camp area, killing some elf guards or some elf, people living out in a cottage somewhere, maybe, that's maybe a husband, wife, and a couple kids. And we could just sit there and camp them for experience and, sell their elven ears for gold and maybe craft some armor out of their flesh. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I hope. Yeah, that's not even raiding. Right, that's not even raiding.
That brings a whole new meaning to elven armor.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine me and Bronson, 2 little rogue halflings, just mean little killing elves all day? I want to have a necklace of elf ears. That's what I want.
No, yeah.
No, but see, that's
not in the game now. Elf ear necklace.
It's got a little baby elf eyeball earring.
Oh my goodness.
If Micah was here, he'd be upset. He'd be organizing against us. It's gonna be like the PETA group for elves.
And I wanted to make this point too, that I think we do underestimate newer players and newer types of games, because the more I look at survival games, the more I look at a game where you could spend 20 hours getting all your equipment and all your guns and making your base, and then someone overnight could come and take all that stuff and kill you, and then it's all over.
Yeah,
I think they'll be ready for this level of hardcore if people are playing games like that.
Yeah. Good comment by, and I really hope this is true. Kiros had an awesome comment. I think people are underestimating VR. I think that there will be so much we'll be able to do essentially, that we'll have to choose specific things to work through week to week. I really hope that's true. I think
it will. I think it will. I think that's the point. I think that's actually the point of Pantheon.
I just, and I keep going back to this, and I know nobody wants to hear this, but I just keep going back to these companies. There's all this money, and all these people, and all these developers don't have all the content. It's like, I just get nervous. It's not that I don't think VR can do it. I think that the team they have is more creative and intelligent and innovative than a massive team at Blizzard for a lot of things. I really do. I don't have any doubt in the developers. Manpower is what scares me. And I think and that's not a knock on VR at all. Like, we're here because we know this is an indie game. We're here because we know it's crowdfunded. So I just worry a little bit, but I hope you guys are right. And they keep talking about all these tools that are going to be able to put content in real easily. And, maybe that means that we're in good shape. And yeah, I mean, if there's enough stuff to do, then none of this would even matter, I guess, so that's.
Yeah. So those tools you're talking about are huge, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know how to say this without getting in trouble. It has nothing to do with VR, right? But there are a lot of, let me just say, there's a lot of developers using Unity, right, to build games that are pretty ambitious, right? Here's a good example that I can't get in trouble for. Reign of Darkness that we play, right, is made by one dude. Now, is it the huge,
it's pretty small,
gargantuan world? No, it's not. It seems like it, right? Like he kind of tricks you at first, and you're like, "Whoa, this is huge and crazy," and oh my god, a guy in a hut in the woods and all this kind of stuff. But it's impressive because it's one dude who made it in a year or so by himself.
A lot longer than that.
And this guy does not have the tool sets that VR has. Okay,
and let's not forget, we often don't talk about this, but it is a known fact that they are working with some very talented Unity developers that want to see this game succeed. That's an advantage that I think sometimes people forget.
Right, with the actual Unity team. And guys, always remember this. I think VR is playing us a little bit. I really do. And because here's something they say a lot, right? They're like, we will never overpromise and underdeliver. I think they are underpromising the living crap out of us right now. And that's why we keep seeing these UI updates and stuff like that, and the art and all that. Now, I'm just saying this out and blowing this right out of my butthole, right? It could be totally wrong. But
can we do that on Twitch? Somebody checks that. Can we blow things out of our butthole on Twitch? Someone just Google search that. Yes. We're good. We're clear. Okay, Nathan, you're clear. Go for it.
I think most of the game is in a point now where it is placeholders, and they're filling out those placeholders using toolkits to build a world and not look like it's all the same, right? So they're using toolkits to do some complicated things, but they had the placeholders there for a majority of the world. That's what I think is happening right now, and that's why they're beginning to show things like UI and like showing on the screen right now. We did this, we did that. Who would even give a crap if they weren't pretty dang far in the game, or at least feeling pretty comfortable? Who would even care about the chat log update that they're going to be showing us soon, right?
Yeah, it's true. We had some funny stuff here said. So we had some funny stuff here said in chat. They said that you were just about, Hoye just said Nathan's about to announce alpha.
Come on, man. Spill those beans.
John is right back here, guys.
Well, and I just wanted to bring this up like real lightly. I think one issue that I thought about when you think about any MMO, not even ones that are open world, is just like population. And you don't want to, no one wants to be on that low pop server, a year into the game. And it just, it feels bad. You and then you look at other servers that are max, and people are now with streaming culture. You'll be seeing how much fun and how vibrant it is. But we also know that this isn't really made as a PvP game. And I think ultimately the big issues with like server transfers or server, like putting two servers together,
changes, blah, 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 blah,
are those type of things. And I can see the issues there, but I'm wondering what they're going to do about that. That I think is like that last straw. If they have a solution to what happens when a server becomes a little lower pop, because it's inevitable. Every game gets a huge surge of people, and the servers are all going to fill up, and then it'll settle out.
60-day time frame. People usually will get that first free month, maybe sub for a month.
So that's where I think it'll be the most pivotal. And then if you can start building servers that are strong, then I think the game will have a nice lifespan, and it'll coast.
All right, what do you want to do with that meter?
I'd kick it up a notch, like put it in between where it was before.
All right.
I'm good with open world. There's enough instance games. There's enough.
Yeah, I agree.
Awesome. All right, thank you, Idiot Tech.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, we got two more. We got Fragile and we got Yeti. We'll do Fragile first.
Fragile.
You ready? You ready?
I'm ready. I love Fragile.
Let's bring him in. Fragile's coming in now, guys. Welcome to Pantheon PlusYou on Twitch, where we can say butthole and drink beer. What's up, Fragile?
And shoot things out of our butts.
Yeah. Only on Twitch. That is strictly a Twitch thing. People have said, Minus, why are you so excited about moving to Twitch? There you go.
There it is. Things out of bottles.
Yeah, that's why Nathan's here. I was like, who would be the best co-host if someone had to shoot something out of their butthole? Nathan.
Yep, you got it.
Nathan, I hope you accept that privilege and honor.
Dude, I really do. I'm gonna actually get a shirt printed.
Is it gonna be puppets coming out of your butt?
Oh, geez. There's a video I don't want to see.
Yeah,
All right.
little turn puppets.
That's not how I want my. I do not want my puppet debuted that way, Nathan. I do not want. Fragile, what's going on, man? What's your thoughts on this? I kind of know your stance on here, so you're a little different than some of the people. So what's going on, man?
Yeah. So I just want to start off back at the April developer roundtable. It was Joppa, and he was the interviewee. And he had said one of the questions was, what do you guys plan to do about content blocking? And he flat out said that they already have an answer, a solve for it, and it was in a design doc, and they couldn't figure out how to break it. And that was back in April. So I think there's going to be some form of maybe not instancing, but some sort of preventative way to keep everybody happy. I do want to say that I'm not against instances because I think they're very important for the end game, healthy play style for those kind of players. The leveling content, everything before that, open world is great. That's why EQ was so magnificent and everything. Lower Guck, Upper Guck, all that stuff. All the people in there, the trains, Karnar's castle, everything. And I think exactly Pantheon will have that, and it's good. But then once you're kind of past that, and everyone's done being nice because it's new, you're gonna have guild competition.
Fragile, you're gonna be nice when the game comes out. You're gonna be nice.
I said people, not me.
Okay, just making sure. I thought we got a world exclusive there. I was just making sure. All right, Ken.
Yeah, and so I think it's very important to have some sort of a ghosting, an instance, or whatever. And I'm not talking just raids, but so there's no griefing that can occur if you're doing an epic quest or you have you want to acquire an epic ability. No one's in there killing your NPC over and over and over, so you can't ever complete the quest. And if you couple that with the demographic of people that are going to be playing the game, it's everyone basically over the age of 26 to 40. That's the majority. They're going to be working. So you're not going to have these people playing 20 hours a day, as many of them, that there were back then. And I think that's important because if you take away their opportunity to do things at endgame, do their quests, do their, mediocre things, that's going to be a huge problem, and it's going to hurt the state of the game.
I can see that. I could see it takes this day and age in gaming is so frustrating, right? Because if someone has a really loud voice and a camera, they can blow something out of proportion that isn't as bad. But if the instancing thing if the open world griefing became a thing, there's gonna be 1,000 stories about it. Like, oh, Pantheon struggling from top guild so-and-so fighting another top guild and it's causing dismay in the community and they've lost 10 subscriptions because of it. And like that's another part of it that I'm afraid of. And again, it's weird because I think we all look at how we want to play the game. And I think that for the most part, a lot of us want the same experience in the same game, but I constantly go back to saying to myself, well, we still need people that aren't like us. Like they're a foundation we need so that we can continue to play Pantheon. So I'm going to say this. There's a part of me that really sides with Fragile in that. Bronson says, don't play into other people's hype and bullshit. Well, true. So.
And here's the other thing with that. So I'm not arguing, right? Like the raid, like I say, if it's end game and it's raids and it's because, it's needed and necessary and, and there's some instancing or whatever they do, right? I don't give a crap. That's fine. I'm more about the journey anyway, and I want that to be, I think that's more important. Most people, I would assume, probably had, if they did EQ back in the day rating, which I would assume is a very small part of the population, then they probably had bad experiences and good. But how much of the good ones was because it was open world is another good question. Or was it just, you know what I mean? Or was it just good
so if we have a few negatives, is it enough to outweigh the positives of the open world? That's
right.
Another point to bring up is, and it was talked about, hinted on a couple times, was the content. And this was just said about how VR's team, can they manage, if it's all open world, can they manage to put out enough content to keep all raiding guilds happy, because it can't just be one or two that are happy because there's enough content. It has to be all the raiding guilds. And then you couple that with, then you have the itemization. So if you have, say, an FBSS, the haste item drop off Dragon A, that same item needs to drop off Dragon B. Otherwise, you're never going to be able to get it ever. And
what if you're in a raid and in like bosses had multiple spawning points? Like, so you could camp in an area and the boss doesn't always have to spawn in the same spot. Like if you're like king of the castle, why are you always in your throne room? Like, what if you're in the armory?
They've mentioned that before. They've mentioned a couple of times where they're like, a boss could start roaming, a boss could change locations. They haven't said it's like the normal, but they have said that it happens, and that would change. That'd be a game changer, right? So
it's just dynamic spawning.
Yeah,
I mean that's
already EQ sort of had that
a little bit, yeah.
Like when you would camp the ocean, like Ancient Cyclops. You could get them in the ocean tiers. You could get them in the S row. So they did do certain things like that back in EQ. So,
but then you got to think of the stronger, bigger guilds that can have like 2-3 people at each spawn point just watching it. And as soon as it happens, they tweet out to their guild. Everyone logs on. It's a rush, and they still.
Sure, yeah. But then at the same time, you could plan an attack as a guild to one area so that you break their strength. So
and you roll them the dice and you hope it comes up snake eyes, right?
Right.
Yeah, hey, I'm a gambler. Let's do this.
Play RNG with it. Why not?
Yeah.
Guys,
or just go back to the cash shop. Don't
even get me started on RNG.
Can we just go back to the cash shop? I want to kill this mob. Our guild donates $5 to Pantheon. Well,
I'll use all my YouTube's money. Join my guild. Use all of it. All my YouTube's money. I'll use.
If I use all my YouTube money, our guild would be in negative DKP. So that's not going to work for me. Everybody has a credit card. You can actually get how Apple just put their credit card out? You can actually get a Pantheon credit card. It'll say boss mob bidding reduced by 10%. You get 10% back. 10% back on your boss mobs.
If you beat the boss, you get 10%.
Death penalties, no cashback.
But guys, before Fragile goes, I do want to mention, because he's the only one that I think will care about this. We did accidentally stumble upon a pretty decent solution by accident, which is, if it's painful, if it takes a while, right? If it's a process, right, a painful process to get the raid boss to appear or to get to a point where you can't fight it, such as shooting it out of your butthole. That's painful. It takes a while. Then that might slow down the progression enough to where everybody gets a shot.
Right off the rails.
Yeah, I could see that because bleeding anuses are, but.
Bleeding anuses
then you just have to worry about a guild leapfrogging the other guild if it's open world, because the one guild's engaged, and then all of a sudden they're like, okay, go, run past them, and then engage the boss.
That's very true.
And I think it's funny because I keep wanting to make sure people are happy and playing the game, but it doesn't mean that they should be able to achieve everything. And I'm still there. Not everybody should get the kills. And you know what's funny, guys? Even with instances, I think it was overblown. Like, a lot of people talk about WoW and they're like, everybody got loot. No, everybody did looking for raid, and a lot of guilds did normal, but the percentage of guilds that completed heroic and then even more so mythic, it was a very small amount. Even with it being instance, it was a really, really small amount that did heroic and mythic. And I don't think a lot of people realize that, because people in their head say, well, I did that raid. Okay, you did on looking for raid and your gear was crap. Right? Okay, cool. You did it. You got to experience the story, but you haven't achieved much. So it's interesting because I don't know that the raiding culture is as big as we think it is. For us, it is.
Well, yeah, that's what I was about to say. Do you think it's this particular Pantheon community, though, right? Because we're a little older now. We've been around a little while. And do you think it's this community is huge on raiding, so therefore that's why
this is such
a hot topic?
They may not be.
I don't know. Remember EQ2, though? They were talking about raiding like day 2, and we're like, guys, calm down. We just freaking started playing the game,
That's true.
They're already trying to set up raid schedules. So I don't know, man. It might be the community loves it.
I think that's a big point that Minus brought up there, is so many people assume that hard content can't be instanced, and that's a huge factor.
Yeah, that's a major problem. And that's because people just hate WoW. like there's certain things on the internet that you just do because that's what everybody does, and I hate it. And listen, I don't play WoW anymore, and I don't want this game to be like WoW, so I'm not saying all that, but the unjustified hate for things that people really haven't experienced, they're just talking through watching a streamer or hearing about it, and they haven't experienced it. Like there's so many people that tell me WoW's not hard, and I'm like, okay, well, go fight heroic Coven and Legion at the time and tell me that's not the hardest fight you've ever seen in your life, right? You could run it 1,000,000 times and it's still hard, right? So I don't know. No, Kiros, you can jump into Green Room. We'll get you in right after we get in Yeti. So if you want to jump into it, we're running a little late, but we're going to keep it going. Fragile, what do you want to do with that meter, man? Good contributions.
I think it's a kind of a two-part thing because I want single progression, raid progression to be instanced, but I want my leveling experience and the world itself to be open. So it's probably more of a mixed bag. Okay. So down.
I'll move it down a little bit. All right. Fragile, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Love you, Nathan.
Love you too, buddy. Hey, can I ask the chat to do something?
Yeah, do it.
Well, absolutely anybody in the chat, let's say that's what they do, right? Let's say they do no instancing all the way until very end game, right? And then there's some instancing for some bosses because, they
very little amount.
Right. There's still zones. There's still raid zones. There's still open world zones with raid bosses in the open world. But there are some that are instanced. Would absolutely anybody in the chat say, screw this game, I'm not playing it? Anybody? Just because
is it a line in the sand? If there's a couple instances, yeah.
And I'm not talking about dungeons leveling up, but just a few raids.
A lot of people are cool with it. Nathan, so interactive. I love it.
It's because of my gaping butthole. It's fragile.
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. All right, let's. We got two left. We added one more. Kiros has been talking all night. I gave him Yeti. We're bringing you in, and then we're gonna jump to Kiros to wrap up the show. So Yeti, here you go. What's up, man? How are you?
Not too bad. How are you guys?
Doing awesome, man. Thanks for holding on so long. I know it's been a little longer of a show tonight, but we're on Twitch. We're saying butthole. We're drinking beer. I did something though. Nathan, I might
recover from that comment in chat. I don't know if I'm gonna recover.
Nathan, I might have done something to get us in trouble on Twitch.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if you saw it. You were talking. I made fun of Fortnite. Are you allowed to do that on Twitch?
I saw that, and I was hoping your mod would take it down real quick, and he didn't react.
Like, are you allowed to dislike Fortnite on Twitch? I'm not sure.
It just is a career destroyer. You're ruined on Twitch.
All right, guys, we may have to rebrand. I'll wear my hat backwards.
It's got to be Pantheon plus Fortnite, and then you'll be okay. They'll forgive you.
We'll go Fred Durst style here. I'll put on a big jacket so it looks like I'm not from Florida. Like it's really cold here in Alaska. All right, so Yeti, we're having a lot of fun all of a sudden, I think, and I haven't even had that much to drink, so that's what's really interesting. Yeti, what are your thoughts on this?
So I'm 23, so I'm sort of on the younger bracket of things.
Okay.
But for the most part, as you've seen, I was talking about it, but why not have, like, quote, the best in slot, both in raid and in dungeons? That way it allows the small groups to go in there, and it won't be such of a gatekeeping effect on the raids, but have it at a much higher, like, a less of a drop chance. So you can spend, like, weeks getting there trying to get that one item, but if you're like with a few people, you could possibly get it. So it allows routes to get the quote best in slot in both ways.
So if it's a less, I'm really set on raids being like the best gear, but if it was just a tiny bit lesser, but it was similar, I'd be okay with that. Almost like because there's not going to be tiers of raid and dungeon content, at least that I know. So like if they tier it where dungeon, like, so if there's a really badass sword I want, I can get a lesser version of it that's still pretty good in a dungeon maybe. But in raids, I'm going to get like the king version of that. I wouldn't hate it, but then at the same time, now we're making the same loot drop in different places, and you lose some of the identity in the loot, which and here's the thing too, if this game works well, it's not going to be like other games that we're used to where in WoW you get the best sword and you're done. you could have a sword that's lower level because it has some badass effect and you spend a lot of time getting it and you're going to use it for longer. So that might be a little different than what we're used to. Like in EQ, you had an item that was low level, but it was just really cool and it worked for how you built yourself and used it for a long time. Like Wu's trance sticks and FPSSs and fungi tunics, like they weren't max level items, but you used them for a damn long time because they were really good. So if the itemization is really good, then it won't even really matter. It will just be something different that you're going to get, or something you want to get from a raid that's going to be different. So maybe, I know what you're trying to say, Yeti, but maybe the term best in slot's not what you're trying to say, but make it viable equipment everywhere.
Yeah, and like that's the thing. If you're gonna have an open world, why not have it available in multiple spots? Therefore, you don't have a bottleneck in certain bosses or dungeons.
And that's where you could have like a random spawn point, have the possibility of spawning a couple different bosses. And then you could have 3 different groups camping 3 spots that could spawn a couple different bosses. Like, you know, the armorer can spawn in the, you know, the foundry or the dining hall or the king's room, because the armorer is going to go to those places. Like that's something that I think would be pretty cool, because if you hold a camp spot, you have a shot. Now, maybe in the foundry, he's going to spawn more often. And that's fine. You got the best spot to camp that mob. Whereas in the throne room, the king's going to spawn the most. But you might get the armorer as well. Like there's certain things you could do about that in the same zone, which could be pretty interesting.
Yeah. And if it's in the same zone, it's, you know, you log on, you're like, yeah, we're going to the king's room or whatever you've decided. And then it's not that big of a deal when you realize that's completely camped. That isn't happening tonight. So you end up trying another option, maybe less percentage of a chance of you getting it that night, but at least you have a chance at getting it and you can, you know, do your thing. And what's funny about all this is, what's funny about this entire conversation that we've had all night is that I don't even care because I just actually, I don't really care at all because, yeah, there are days where I'm like, yeah, guys, let's go do this over the weekend. And it's not available and I don't care. We'll find other really cool things to do.
Yeah, and
like,
that all comes down to having a great guild and having a good group of friends. You'll find a way to do something.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like if you wanted to go to a restaurant with your friends and it's packed, you go to another restaurant. I don't know. Or you go to a bar and it's too busy. You go to the dive bar down the street, right?
You're a little disappointed. You know, you're like, because you kind of told, you know, you made a promise to your stomach. Like, hey, I'm going here tonight. We're going to eat this steak and that's my favorite place or whatever. And then you get there and you're like, no, I'm not waiting 2 hours. Forget it. I'll eat McDonald's and go home and play Pantheon, right? Or whatever. So,
someone, we have a Twitch clip. Somebody clipped something. I don't even want to know what that is.
Oh no. It was probably the butthole thing.
It probably is. Yeti, what do you want to do? Yeti, what do you want to do with that meter? You want to move it up, down, keep it where it's at?
I want to see only open world only, but I want to like keep it right in the middle where it is now because it's both sort of like I really want it open world, but I can understand mixed.
I like your thought process though of the options for a drop. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then somebody said it in chat. I think it might have been Bronson, but best in slot doesn't need to exist if it's done right.
Yeah, that's also the other thing too. It's all a toss up at the end of the day. We won't know the drops and whatever else when it comes out. So
because let's be honest, there should be no item that makes an elf better than a halfling anyway. So I mean, what's best in slot like for them is, you know, what's it matter really? Let's be honest. Let's go hug a tree. All right. So Yeti, have a good night, man. Thanks, man.
You too.
All right, last but certainly not least, someone who's spent a ton of time in chat with us. He was able to get home. He's going to come on the show to close up our first ever Twitch extravaganza, which is a night to remember. Let's be honest. And Kyros, we're bringing you in now. What's up, man? You got the last word.
Uh-oh.
Hey, how's it going?
What's up, man?
So where do I even start? Holy,
I would not start on the butthole part.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of some buttholes. All right. So first off, the bars are wrong. Everything's wrong. It's not all blue and red all the way to the top. So
convince me. Convince that blue bar up.
All right. I think what I always see people talk about is if they do instances right, it'll be okay. Well, my argument is if they do open world right, it'll be okay. So which one should we be fighting for?
Yeah, because don't we have plenty of instance games?
The way you wrap that up is really good.
That's very convincing. That is quote of the night, game point match, bam, open world all the way.
If we have the option of having both done right, which one do we want? Well, I want open world if it's done right.
You're right.
Exactly.
Right. And
It's a good thing we
for
put
all
you on
we
last.
know-
This show would have been a lot shorter.
Yeah, we'd have been like, well, that's it, guys. Good night.
Kiros is here. No, that's a really good way of putting it. If we're gonna say that it has to be right to be instance, then we should say the same thing in reverse. That's actually a great point. I'm moving my meter up. Just convince me.
And Fragile asks, how do you do open world right? We don't know. We're hoping they do.
Thank God we're not making the game.
yeah, exactly.
Like we've had a very long conversation between a lot of people tonight about how to make instances right and not the other way. So maybe have another show. How do you make open world right?
Have a whole show on it. Yeah, we can. That's a good point. Look at you.
That show should be...
He comes in. He's driving the chat. He comes in to close the show. He hits us with a great line. Now he's programming for us. I mean, this is the greatest end to a show we've ever had. Episode 20.
Yeah. I've got room on my name for like Pantheon right before it. It's there.
No, Kiros, that's actually a great point. I think it is a good bit to talk about. Like, what do we want to see to make the open world right? Let's get away from using instance to get the open world right. What are the other pieces? So give us a couple minutes. What are some of the things what do you worry about with open world? Not to say that you want instances. Let's leave that out for your discussion here at the end. What do you worry about in open world?
I think I'm kind of rare. I came from EverQuest and Ultima, those games. I'm not worried. I'm just not.
Yeah.
The thing is, I kind of classify it in two different spectrums. Either you are hardcore and you're going to go with the flow of what's available, kind of like Nathan, or you get your feelings hurt really easily and you cry a lot. And that's like the two teams right there.
It is true.
Yeah.
And I don't really care to build a game around people that are just going to cry when things are not the right way.
That's true. I think a lot of us probably have thick skin. Yeah.
And haven't the people crying about this and that, aren't they the ones that ruined this genre to begin with? Can't we all agree that they're the ones that whined about this and that? The developers came up with solutions, and now, we're the ones that got left in the dirt, right? Like,
Gulu says, "Cry hards, die hard." Jeez.
Yeah.
Guess what didn't happen whenever Ultima and EverQuest were being developed? This.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true.
They just made it. They made a game that was real.
And I've said that about a ton of games. Like, think of every game you love. 90% of them had no community input. The genius creator had a vision. They put their vision out there and people played it. Done. Zelda, Mario, Punch-Out, Resident Evil. No, communities didn't give them feedback on how to make those games, and they were phenomenal because they were the vision, of it. Now, I'm not trying to say communities shouldn't have say because we're in a different era. But yeah, if their vision's strong and that's what they want, they have to do it, or else it's not going to be good.
Minus, did you just say that community does not matter?
No, I say community does matter.
Oh, okay, all right. Sounded
It's
like
just-
maybe you're saying it does not.
What the community does.
No, what he's
with
saying
the
is it
issues.
doesn't matter for development, right? So,
Right.
we should.
It does. No, I said this day and age, it does matter. But if it can't take people away from their vision, there's going to be things that they have to decide that they're on both sides. They're like half the development team wants this, half the development team wants this. That's where the community can step in and help them make the right decision. But on things that they're set on, they need to just continue on with.
Yeah, so basically, all the tenets that the game was founded upon, right?
Mhm.
The vision should never change, ever. Regardless of the
Precisely.
community, it should never change. I agree.
Precisely. So, Kiros, you want to move that meter up, I imagine.
Oh yeah, way up.
Nathan, have you rethought? Are you happy with where you put it at the beginning? What have you been convinced? Do you want to bump this up more with him, or what do you want?
Well, to be honest, I think it should be higher than that a little bit. I think that's probably pretty fair, right? Because it is above mixed.
Just moved a little.
Here's the thing. Here's my thing. I feel like this is our only shot, maybe ever, right? And as long as we're alive, to get an open world MMORPG with open world period, no excuses, no BS, just freaking make the game, right? If it's garbage, then most of the player base is still going to be around because they still won't have an experience anything like this anywhere else. I think that people will still come and join the game. I think that we'll figure out systems in place. I think that the community itself will work it out. So if there are issues, I think that we'll figure out ways for it to work anyway. And we don't have an option for open. If we did, I'd be playing it, right? We don't even have an option. So
at least give us one game out there that is open world. And if this is the game, then so
and if it's a dumpster fire and it's like 100% agreed upon, the devs are like, yeah, this sucks for rating. The players like, this sucks for rating. Then sure, go ahead, try to fix it, right? And do whatever you got to do to make the game.
But give it a good shot.
But give it a shot. Give it let's have one last shot at classic gameplay and see what happens.
Kyrus, thanks for jumping in, man.
Yep.
All right, the last thing we're going to do, and then we're wrapping up, Nathan. I'm going to let you go. I've held you hostage for 2 hours now. It's a longer show. Chat, it's up to you now. Move the meter up where it's at or down. Type it in there, and Nathan, help me watch. So let's see what we were looking at here. Yeah, we had double overtime. Good to call there. So we got...
Stay up.
Okay, keep going, guys. Stay up.
Down.
We got down. It's like a cheat code.
Up.
Okay. Wow, we only have one down and one step.
Down.
There's a down. Down. Okay.
Another down. 2 downs. No,
we're evening out a little bit.
AB select start. Up, down.
Fragile has
down
99 lives. Down.
You got the up, down. All
left.
Right.
I can't move it left. I'm not that creative. I have to spin the whole thing. It's pretty even. Blow it up. Oh, geez. What have we started? What have we started?
Sorry. All right.
Does it seem pretty where it's at? Downs are sacred. Down, up. It's pretty even.
Downs are scared.
It's pretty even. I think we keep it about where it's at. So pretty much open world. I mean, that's where we're at. It's barely in the mixed. So it seems like the community wants open world. Guys, this video will be on demand immediately following. We'll get it loaded over to YouTube. You guys will be able to watch it there. So anyone who's watching it on YouTube, know that we'll be doing it live here. When do I get a sub button? I have to become an affiliate, which means we're going to be streaming some games next week. We're going to do our YouTube, our Pantheon PlusYou will always be on Twitch. We're going to have 2 nights of streaming as well. So again, check out Twitter and the YouTube channel community tab for announcements on what games we're going to be playing. Again, this week coming up, I'll give you the dates. 2 days we're going to be playing Wolcen, and we're going to see some Rain Darkness. We're going to see some other games eventually. But this week we're going to play some Wolcen, and then we're going to have Pantheon PlusYou on Thursday. So this is not going anywhere. We're going to continue to do this. And next week we do have a developer roundtable, so we'll follow up the roundtable with a recap. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate so much everyone jumping over to Twitch for our first show. Absolutely incredible. You guys are awesome. I wish there was more I could do for you guys. Really excited on where this is going to go. Thank you guys for coming over. Thank you guys for jumping in. The green room was on fire tonight. Nathan, thanks for staying more, getting everybody in the green room a chance to come on here. I love you guys to death for this. Thank you very much. And one more time, here's our new hyped up Pantheon Plus production video to wrap it up. Thanks, Nathan.
Thank you.
A Pantheon Plus production.